Welcome to Indie Tea Demos to Discovery with your host, me, Peter Lancialotti. And today we have a guest who's been with us once before, Aaron Leet, audio engineer extraordinaire, also known as John Wayne Spacey. Yes, he does know what that means. With DSCLabs Productions. Hello, my friend.
How's it going?
Good. From Kentucky, an audio extraordinaire engineer with DSCLabs Productions, Aaron Leet. Welcome, Aaron.
I bet you can't guess where the DSC comes from.
Let me guess. Does it begin with all of you are very dashing? Aaron is part of the Dashing Skull Club. And I interviewed them the other day. I think it was Jeff that did most of the talking.
Yeah, Jeff's Tuna Ferrari is a great centerpiece. Jeff is.
Oh, well,
We all know him like Jeff.
I tried to do a promo with the funniest parts in it. The other, you probably already saw it,
Oh yeah,
and I thought that was hilarious. I can't believe I actually said that out loud. I was thinking it, but I didn't think I said it out loud. I thought you got to put that in there, and I'm not going to tell you what it is. You're going to have to watch it.
I'd like to think we have great sense of humor. So.
Oh, you all do. In fact, when I said it afterwards, I'm like, oh, please tell me he's not going to be weirded out by that. But it did get a lot of people's attention. 334 views just on Facebook.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I can't believe
13 on YouTube? Come on, YouTube. Get it up. Get it together.
It's the most difficult thing to really gain traction with, I think.
Well, I don't forget, I just started. I don't want to break their rules by, going, oh, subscribe to me. I want it to happen organically, and it's something that I was talking about with John from Whiskey Club. I mean, naturally, that little clip you saw of everybody, the four interviews I've done so far, those were 40-minute interviews that I gotta chop down. There's a lot of stuff in there. I mean,
I bet John has lots of interesting things to say. John
he
is
did. He actually said that very interesting thing about Spotify and what he said about Spotify and Meta, that they're taking, what did he call it? Genomic fingerprinting of all our music, not just beats per minute, but exactly the kind of music. And by the way, when I listen to my own 6 songs, well, the one with the fire and then 5 of mine, you know what it brought up? Brian Eno.
That's very cool.
I mean, it is cool, but I honestly, I'm embarrassed to say I love Brian Eno, but I'm embarrassed to say I don't own a thing by him, and I never have.
I own a lot of records that he produced. Funny
Yes, exactly. Like, Bowie and, Bowie's Love and stuff like that. But of his own, Talking Heads, yeah. But of his own stuff, I don't own a thing by him. I never owned vinyl. I never owned, not even 8 tracks. Anyway, as you can probably tell, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone else, Aaron and I have become very good friends under the most interesting circumstances. Aaron is from Kentucky on the other side of the country. Aaron is someone who has been helping me learn how to mix my own music in Studio One. I was under the impression that one could use any DAW, which is a digital audio workstation, and I was using Audacity, and he was very kind to hold in his laughter when he heard that I was trying to mix music with it.
I would never laugh at that. I mean, everybody has their own DAW that they feel comfortable with. I know a lot of people that use GarageBand, and if it works, it works. But
Audacity, oh come on, I did such a great job on the Ballad of the Witch's Road. Had I been using Studio One Pro 7, I wouldn't have to do it over again.
I personally think Studio One is a very it has so many features that allow you to achieve your dreams.
And more than when I'm stuck. If I always text because I know he's a busy man. He's got 2 jobs plus he does audio. No, well now 3 jobs now that you've opened up DSCLab Productions. At my insistence, I wrote about the Dashing Skull Club last year without ever meeting Aaron. And what I said about him was he rivals record company audio engineers because I thought to myself, this is a person that cares about every single note that comes out of the speakers. Because I've listened to a lot of indie artists, and including myself, who mix their own stuff, and you are the most professional mixer. The Dashing Skull Club recently came out with a song called "Knowing You Did Everything." I asked him, I said, there's like an awful lot going on, but I can hear everything. How many tracks are on that? He goes, I think 62. I thought I was tough stuff when I did 21 tracks on the David Bowie Linkin Park thing.
I have to really give mastering.com a lot of credit.
Yeah, but you do it. You actually do it. I mean, there's something different about talking about it, but then you do it. Like some people say, those who can't do teach. You can do both because you've been teaching me, and you do it. And he does it well.
I can't say enough about him though. It's one of the things, and this will be a plug for mastering.com. I owe them, but I'm in their lower tier program, and the things I've learned, like knowing you did everything, I felt like was a huge milestone in the recording side of things, and mentorship. I mean, you've got all these professionals that have worked in the business and do this themselves that you can take something to and be like, I have this problem. Because before it was like, I'm the same as the rest of the people you're talking about. I got into this because we're poor. There's no affording studio time, so it's like it's really, if, in the true nature of DIY, is like you just got to learn how to do it. And
I think I mentioned that to you earlier when I was having technical difficulties about DIY. I remember the days of studio engineers when I went in to, do 24 track on tape. I didn't have to worry about sound levels. I didn't have to worry about EQ or noise levels. And I didn't have to worry about anything. I just had to go in there, play, sing, write my music, and leave. Of course, I paid them a lot of money to do that. But now it's, and this whole thing that John and I were talking about, remote working collaborations. These are phenomenal. As you know, I did one with Fyra, who will eventually also be.
It was amazing too.
And I've never been in the same room with the woman, and she added a guitarist who I've never met or even spoken with. So it's just wild the stuff that goes on. And I know that you just did a collaboration with someone else. I think I heard the song like 2 or 3 days ago.
Yeah, we've done two. Well, we've done three total if you count knowing you did everything, because John Whiskey Club was on that, and then we did one with Miles O'Flaherty, a dear friend of ours, and I think the whole community, a shining example of what human beings should be. But so short story, Punk in the Corn, is happening actually to tomorrow, the day we're recording this. It'll be a week. And this is all these indie bands getting together doing this festival, kind of Woodstockish. So, I brought up the idea of like doing some collaborations of covers to kind of help promote it. Miles brought up Satellite of Love by Lou Reed.
Ooh, well, I know you like Lou Reed. Did you just do one? You just did one by Lou Reed, didn't you?
This is the one.
Oh, that's the one.
The one I'm talking about, yeah. And then he wanted John on it, so it was Miles, and then Whiskey Club and the Dashing Skull Club. So we did a version of Satellite of Love, which I'm very proud of. I think that turned out great, and it was very special to Miles because it was also a tribute to a friend of his that has since passed. But
I'm sorry.
yeah, but it's like Miles is such a positive person. He always talks about celebration of life and things like that. But and he really brought that to the song. I think that's the interesting thing about recording music, because when you step outside of your own, then you're just helping someone else achieve their vision, or what they're.
Well, you've certainly been helping me. I know. I mean, if it wasn't for you, I don't think I would have had the nerve. Aaron's actually one of the people that talked me into getting back into the music industry because I've been on hiatus, as some of you might have heard the promo, for about a little over 30 years. And he heard some of my studio stuff and was like, why are you not on Spotify? I don't know.
I'm a prog fan, so anytime there's good prog music, especially when it harkens back to the stuff from the '70s when
I seem to run into everyone who is like a Yes wannabe fan, and then you go and introduce me to this band I'd never heard of, Camel, who's
oh
been around forever,
oh
and
man,
they're fantastic. I can't stop listening to them now because of you. And
that's one of my favorites.
when you heard one of my songs, just I think it was one. I think it was either Everyone Everything or The Eternal Now, one of those. You immediately picked out like a klaxon. You said, "I'll bet your two favorite bands are Yes and Queen," and that's true. And my jaw almost hit the floor when you said that.
Yeah, ELP was another one I could hear in your music too.
Yes, Emerson, Lake and Palmer. And when I heard your material, I sort of had to turn my head, particularly when I listened to the album Dirt Flood.
We cut our teeth on like punk rock and stuff, but then I've always listened like Rush
You're a
was a big
Ramones
band.
fan, if I
Oh
recall.
yeah, I love the Ramones. That's the band that inspired me to pick up a guitar and play. But at the same time, like Rush was a band I got into like I was probably in elementary school and I heard Moving Pictures, Tom Sawyer and YYZ and Limelight and
I think the first album by
Witness
them I heard
Promise.
was 2112. I think that was the first thing I heard by them.
Yeah. I could go on and on with Rush. Like that's a great
Don't
group.
you don't you have someone in your band who I mistook for Geddy Lee when you said that?
Yeah,
When you
our drummer stage name is Yeti Lee.
Yeti Lee, and when you said,
Yeti
I
Lee.
said, "Oh, we have a member of Rush in the band, who's
So
usually a
yeah,
bass guitarist but playing drums."
we're I think all of us like Rush. I'm not sure on Scott, but the rest of us, yeah, we're all big Rush fans. Led
Well,
Zeppelin, the Beatles, but again, you got stuff like the Ramones mixed in there. The Pixies is a huge influence. Frank Black, Red Cross. That could go on and on with so many. They Might Be Giants. That's probably one of the biggest influences I'd say on Dashing Skull Club is stuff like They Might Be Giants and Talking Heads.
if I may, I'd like to return the conversation to DSC Labs Productions. Almost, maybe close to 2 months ago, when I suggested that you do this, you said to me, and I quoted it, "Who's going to come to me?" And now you have paying clients in less than 2 months. Um,
Yeah, big props to Phil Cook and the Fall Dogs. He was one of the. There's a lot of people I could thank, and I'm pretty sure I made a post at one point on DSC Labs, and you were definitely on that list. You were a big proponent for me doing this, and I appreciate that. Rob Bennett is another person. Phil Cook is another person. Yeah, I didn't really, a lot of people I went go to mastering.com with too, are like, you should do this. And it was really mastering.com, like, they finally pushed me because they had some kind of turn your studio into a business challenge. And they said, do you have a service that you can offer that others can't do for themselves? And they're like, if so, then just do it. And I was like, okay, fine, I'll do it.
yeah, when you told me about it, that's when I wouldn't, I think we talked for, took me what, 3.5, 4 hours on one phone call to finally get you to say, "I'll consider it."
Well, in my defense, like a lot of the indie community are, I get it. It's a DIY thing. I got into it for the same reasons. Like you don't have a lot of money, you have to learn how to do it, and you also have it's your music. So you want to be in control of that vision coming to life. So, I get it. And with everybody mixing their own music, it's like, oh, why would somebody come to me? But then the mastering thing came up, and I was like, not everybody really knows how to master music, though.
I didn't even know the first thing about Studio One, and I remember when you told me try out a few DAWs before you decide on one. Studio One wasn't even in the running when I came down to my final five. And you're like, "Well, okay, Peter, I know a little about traction, I know a little about this," and then I recorded a new one, which I'm not crazy about, but we won't get into that. But it's the
We
vocal
we
stuff.
all have those.
I
We all have.
can't do vocals yet. I mean, I know eventually, and that's the stuff you're going to help me with. because
Yeah,
you're good at that stuff. The vocal stuff, man, you got it down.
I think a lot of that came from like so like we covered in the Skull Club interviews. Like I've known Jeff and Larry my whole life, and when Jeff and I go to like do vocal stuff, it's like so creative. Like you don't even really think about the technical things at that point, and then when it comes down to like executing it, I probably learned a lot just from doing it that way. Because like Jeff and I work together in producing the vocals. It's like that's why it's usually produced by Dashing Skull Club when it's Dashing Skull Club. It's kind of all of us. But yeah, I learned a lot. Just we have so many different things we listen to, and you want to kind of like get all that in there. And there's usually always a lot of vocal tracks to work with, and I think
Well,
vocals and drums are the hardest things to really get good at.
drums I'm getting better at. I don't think I did quite as good as I wanted to on Flight of a Galaxy, but I thought I did pretty darn good on Aztec in the Meadow on my own stuff.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And you didn't even know I was doing it. I didn't want to. I said, let me see if I can make Aaron proud and just do it without asking.
And I'm proud of everybody. Like I in no way have any ego about it. I listen to people's stuff all the time because I enjoy listening to playlists of indie music. It's probably one of my favorite things. And
John said the same thing in his interview.
there's so many artists out there that already have a good grasp on mixing and how to get all the little details out there, and it's impressive. I mean, I do think something's lost, but at the same time something's gained. It's a trade-off. Like the old way, I try to keep a lot of the old way and how I do things. Because I like the idea of separate and mastering.com got me better at this too, is like separating being the producer and recording engineer from being the mix engineer and then later the mastering engineer. When you compartmentalize it, you don't let yourself like if I'm producing and recording, I'm not mixing. Now I might do some things that I know I'm gonna do when I mix, like I things I always do. That way it saves me time. But for the most part, I'm not thinking so much about mixing when I'm recording and producing.
Hmm.
And when I'm mixing, I'm not. I've already done that part. I'm thinking about mastering, but I'm not trying to make any moves. So it's like I don't know. It makes it more efficient, I guess.
Well,
And
you
it's
did
like,
drive the point home to me that, Peter, don't master until you are very happy with the mix.
yes. And when you go to master, you will end up changing things about the mix because mastering it, the final result should be taking a mix and like bringing life to it and making it louder. That's really it's the technical part of it is just making it hit industry standard loudness levels. But you can also there's like about a 10% creative part to it where you can really like add depth and really bring the mix to life. But when you go to do that, especially when you hit a limiter, any flaws in a mix are going to be like very apparent.
Magnified by 10, because that's what I did on the vocal thing. It's a Kyrie, it's a classical piece. Well, you heard it. And you said,
Yes,
Peter,
it
it's
was really
not
good.
bad. And by the way, DistroKid rejected my remix saying that I pretty much introduced a whole new song. So I'm stuck with that one out there. I mean, unless I want to pay for it over again, because you
But
can do one swap out, but I literally changed it so dramatically that it sounded like a completely different song. And it actually had less reverb on it. And I wanted it to sound like, you were in like a church or something, because it had like that Citadel feel.
oh yeah, with
The
that
one
type
that's
of song,
still,
you
yeah.
want that. It's kind of the taste of it.
Well, I lost that
But
on
to
the
your
on the
point
second one.
too, that's kind of the journey, like DC's always talking about music and the journey of it, which I feel the same way about it. As a musician, the things you learn along the way, usually through making mistakes. Same thing happens with mixing. Like there's a song on Unsee the Invisible. I cringe every time I listen to it. It's called Frankie. I love the song. I hate the mix. just
Okay, I was gonna say I remember it. I don't know what I don't think there's not one song by Dashing Skull Club that I don't like, so I can't say that I could
it's a great
tell.
song. Don't get me wrong. I just don't like the mix. It
I
just
mean,
drives me
it's
crazy.
to me, your standard of mixing is like here, everybody else's is about here, but
And
you're
the
about
funny
here.
thing is, it's when you bring up Dirt Flood, like that's the journey. Dirt Flood was recorded in 2010, 2009, 2010.
And it sounded like it could have been done yesterday.
Yeah, but it sounded like crap. We'll say crap. It sounded like crap in
Okay.
2011.
Oh,
I
okay. I
would
was going to say not now.
no, I remix. So when we did Unsee the Invisible and we put it out, I was like, I've been doing the mastering.com does a lot of free fix the mixes. It's a 3-day event. They take it from mixing to mastering all the way through. And I did a few of those, and then that helped me get through Unsee the Invisible, and I was like, I think I can remix Dirt Flood and make it sound good. And I feel like I achieved that. I think it
Well,
sounds
that brings me to
good.
my next question. Where can people find DSC Labs Productions if they want to work with one of the most patient and talented audio engineers I know?
You can look me up on Facebook and Instagram currently. You can also message me. For now, I'm sticking with the band email until I get a website. I'm working towards putting up a website and having different, examples like a portfolio and things like that. And then I'll probably have a DSC Labs email. But for now, I'm using dashingskullclub@gmail.com.
Okay.
So
So
if
you heard
anybody
it.
watching this doesn't have the socials and just wants to email me, just say, hey Spacey, can I get you to mix or master, whatever. We can always talk it over. I'm still working out some of the details, mainly doing a lot of mastering lately, which I did not expect to really fall in love with mastering, but I do really love mastering.
That's the part I don't like yet. I'm still getting into playing with Pro EQ3. That's like my heaven. That once I
So
started understanding that one, I was like, wow.
that's such a fun plugin. I'll tell you what though, when you get into using the analog emulations, because a lot of what I do, I think what I bring to the table in a mix is that I use a lot of the old emulations. So if a song comes across like a lot Dashing Skull Club stuff a lot, I'll use like old Neve 1073s and 8081s because that sound is what my ear from all those records we listened to throughout the ages, they were recorded through those old consoles using like, analog compressors, and so I try to bring a lot of that flavor to it. I think I think our ears are trained to think that that's what a real studio song sounds like. Don't get me wrong, I love all this technology and it's given me the ability to have those kind of things that I would never be able to afford in real life. Like my favorite compressor is a Fairchild 670. That's like a $30,000 compressor. I think if you were to get a vintage one's like $3 million or something.
Whoa!
Yeah, who's gonna buy that and use it?
With that, I want to thank Aaron for being here, but
Thank you for having me, Peter.
I'm from under the rock. New jazz set me free. Famous lunches abandoned. Genius napkins retrieved. You